It was 2:13 a.m. when the east hallway camera whispered my name. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being poetic. The microphone feed normally silent unless security radios crackled, glitched, and formed a word shaped like breath scraping through broken speakers. Daniel. My spine locked up so tight I couldn't even turn toward the monitor at first. Because the thing is, no one in the building knew I was on shift tonight. The hotel owner forgot to update the roster. My coworker clocked out early. Not even dispatch had me logged in. If someone was saying my name, they weren't supposed to know I existed. The screen flickered once, then stabilized. Camera 04 East Hall, level 2, empty. Long beige corridor. Carpet patterned with those ugly hotel swirls. Lights humming with the same rhythmic buzz I'd memorized after a year of graveyard shifts. But the audio meter at the bottom corner still pulsed. Like breaths were moving through the mic. Daniel, look. Every hair on my arm stood up. CCTV. Mics don't pick up voices like that. The hotel doesn't have two-way audio. And even if somehow a guest was whispering toward the little pinhole microphone, that voice wasn't human. It was too layered. The pitch fluctuating like it didn't know how to imitate us correctly. I leaned closer to the monitor. For a second, I thought maybe it was interference. A truck on the street causing vibration. Wind hitting building vents. I prayed it was something logical. Because the last time this building had unexplained camera activity, a guest went missing, and they never found him. The hallway lights flickered. The camera glitched, warping the screen into pixelated static for half a second. Then the image returned with a figure standing at the far end of the hall. Tall, grayish, back turned toward the camera, head tilted slightly, like it was listening. I jerked upright so fast my chair slammed into the cabinet behind me. No, one had been there 3 seconds ago. My radio was silent. No motion detectors tripped. No elevator movement. No door logs. I leaned in, squinting. The figure wasn't shaped right. Its arms hung too long, almost brushing the knees. Its neck didn't look stable, like it was bending under an unseen weight. The intercom crackled again. Daniel, do you see me? I swallowed hard. Hallway figures are usually prank guests, lost partiers or drunken sleepwalkers, but this one stood without moving, not breathing, not shifting, not human. I reached for my walkie. Dispatch, this is night security. I've got an unknown subject on level 2, East Hall, possible trespasser. Requesting confirmation on guest logs. Static. Then a faint click, but no voice. The figure on the screen rotated its head, not its body, just its head, all the way around until its face aimed at the camera. My stomach twisted. The face had no features. No eyes, no nose. Just smooth skin stretched too tight over a shape that wasn't skull. Then, as if realizing I was watching it, tilted its head further. Something cracked inside the audio feed, sharp and sudden. My speakers popped. The lights in the hallway blinked once, twice, and the figure was suddenly closer. Much closer. Half the hall. I hadn't blinked. I hadn't looked away. There was no transition, no movement, no frames showing motion. It had jumped forward on the feed. My heartbeat slammed against my ribs. I scanned the room for any sign this was a prank, hidden speaker, hacked connection, anything, but the only sound was my own breathing and the quiet hum of monitors. I zoomed the camera. The figure froze again. I zoomed further. The surface of its skin wasn't skin at all. It was shifting, like the texture of static wrapped around bones. The speaker whispered, "Don't look away." I looked away instantly. Every instinct screamed at me to stop watching. But then something happened that ripped the breath out of my lungs. The figure moved again, not on the screen. Behind me, I didn't see it. I didn't hear footsteps, but the air changed. A coldness fell behind my chair. A compression of space, like something tall, stood inches from the back of my head. I clenched my jaw. Muscles trembling so violently, the chair shook beneath me. The camera's audio whispered, "Behind you." I spun around, swinging the flashlight upward. Nothing. Just the empty security office. My jacket on a hook. Coffee cup half full. Clock ticking to 17 a.m. I turned back to the screens. The figure was now standing directly in front of the camera, filling the entire frame. Shoulders slouched, head pressed near the lens, skin shifting static, forming a warped suggestion of a face. Then, in the room with me, the broom closet door moved just a little, just enough at soft creak. My chest tightened. I reached for the office door to leave, when all monitors glitched at once. White noise, pixel storms, horizontal tearing lines, Then the screens stabilized, showing me my office, my chair. My back turned to the camera, but I had no cameras pointed in here. None. My hotel had no internal office cameras. I stared at the screen, frozen. On the feed, my own head began turning toward the camera, slowly, almost reluctantly, until the version of me on the screen stared directly into the lens with a face I did not recognize, because it wasn't my expression, it wasn't my eyes, it was wearing my skin like clothing. The speaker whispered again, clearer this time. "Found you?" My real legs refused to move. The figure me on the monitor lifted its hand, beckoning me with one slow curl of its finger. Then, the east hallway camera cut to black, followed by every other feed, one by one, until only the office camera, the impossible one, remained. The version of me smiled, not wide, not exaggerated, just a tiny, knowing smile. And then it stepped out of frame, into my blind spot. The closet behind me creaked again. I stayed frozen for what felt like hours. Though the clock still read to 18 a.m., my limbs refused to respond. My ears were straining for the faintest sound. Then the closet door creaked more insistently. A shadow stretched along the floor, dark and jagged, bending in ways that shouldn't have been possible. I whispered to myself, trying to summon courage. It's just a trick of the cameras. Just static glitch. Nothing real. But I knew that whatever had invaded my building didn't obey logic. It wasn't something you could reason with. The shadow grew, lengthened unnaturally, and paused at the threshold. A subtle vibration in the floor, like a heartbeat but not mine. The voice came again, low, layered, inhuman. "Look behind you." My entire body screamed against the command. My rational mind told me not to obey, but my instinct betrayed couldn't help myself. I turned slowly, nothing. The closet was empty. Yet the air felt thicker. A suffocating pressure settled around my shoulders, as if invisible fingers pressed into my flesh. Then I noticed it. The monitors flickered on again. East hallway camera. And there it was, my reflection, but distorted, thin, jittering like static on a broken TV. And worse, its eyes were locked onto mine, unblinking, knowing. The whisper returned. "You can't hide." Panic gripped me. I bolted toward the office door, desperate to escape. The handle twisted under my hand like it had weight I couldn't explain. The door didn't budge. The monitors changed without input, cycling through every camera, lobby, stairwell, east hallway, and on every screen. The figure appeared, close, grinning with impossible teeth, stretching its arms too long, moving in jerky, unnatural increments. One screen showed a feed I didn't recognize my office from behind, and in it, I saw myself sitting in the chair, frozen, unmoving, and yet, alive. A flicker of terror washed over me. Was I trapped in the feed? Was this thing me? I stumbled backward, toward the storage closet. The shadow followed, a distortion in the corner of my eye moving faster than I could perceive. I opened the closet door and crawled inside, trembling. The scent hit me first, cold metal, ozone, and something rotten beneath. Then the sound, wet, dragging footsteps against the linoleum. The monitors went black again, and then the office lights blinked off. I sat in complete darkness, shivering uncontrollably. Every hair on my body stood on end. My ears rang with the layered whispers of my name. I tried to convince myself it was hallucination, stress, or exhaustion, but I had been working night shifts for years. I knew fear, and this was not normal. Minutes passed or hours. Time had no meaning. Then I heard the sound, a soft, wet scrape across the floor. Closer, closer, the doorknob rattled. And then the voice, directly in my ear, whispering. Found you? I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I felt a cold presence press against my shoulder, sliding along my back. A low vibration thrummed through the floor, syncing with my heartbeat. And then the monitors turned on. Room 14. The figure sat on the bed, its head tilted, scanning the room. Then slowly, impossibly, it lifted a hand and pointed directly at the closet. I realized it could see me. Through walls, through doors, through everything. A sudden motion made me spin in place. Nothing. Then the office feed flickered again, and I saw it, my own reflection. Not me, but my skin, my hair, my posture, the expression, calm, knowing, smiling. It mouthed words I didn't understand, but then, the speaker whispered, "You will become the next feed." A cold realization hit me. The figure didn't just observe. It copied, it replaced. I screamed. The sound reverberated through the empty office. The shadow pressed closer, then vanished instantly. The monitors flashed once more, and then a new feed appeared. The security office. And I was already inside. But I hadn't moved. My own body was on the screen, crouched in the corner. Staring at me, I stumbled backward, tripping over cables. Everything went black. The whispers faded. A moment of silence. Then the lights came back. The office was empty. The monitors displayed normal camera feeds. Hallway, empty. Lobby, empty. Stairwell, empty. Room 14, empty. I was alone. Alone, but not safe. I never touched the cameras again. The recordings were gone. No log existed of what had happened, but sometimes, at night, when the hotel is quiet, I hear my name whispered through the monitors, and when I check, there's always a reflection, waiting, smiling, not me. I thought it was over. The lights returned. The office was empty. Monitors showed normal feeds. Room 14. Empty. My reflection was gone. I exhaled shakily, trembling from exhaustion, adrenaline, and sheer terror. I told myself it was a hallucination. Sleep deprivation, stress, night shift paranoia. I gathered myself, wiped sweat from my palms, and decided to check the feeds one last time. The east hallway camera blinked on empty. Then, the audio meter pulsed. Daniel, I froze. My hands clamped over my mouth. The sound came from the camera. Not the office. Not my radio. Not anywhere tangible. You left. Open cold air washed over me. My hair stood on end. I realized it wasn't over. It would never be over. I backed away from the monitors, tripping into the filing cabinets. Drawers clattered. Coffee spilled. My flashlight rolled across the floor. I could feel it. Something watching, always watching. The monitors flickered again. All cameras, every feed, lobby, hallway, stairwell, room 14, and my office, every camera now showed me. Me standing at the desk. Me, crouched in the corner. Me staring into the camera, but I wasn't moving. The reflection, me smiled, slowly, knowing malicious. We are everywhere. The layered whisper hissed. I realized in horror that the CCTV glitch wasn't just a camera problem. It wasn't just a glitch. It was alive. It learned me, followed me, replaced me, and now, it existed wherever it could broadcast. I stumbled backward to the door. My fingers trembled as I reached for the handle. Then, I noticed it. Room 14's feed was on the monitors. The door was wide open. The figure inside had my face, and my body. It stepped toward the edge of the bed, head cocked, smiling. And then, impossibly, it raised its hand and waved directly at me. I felt my body freeze. Every nerve, every muscle, paralyzed by terror. Join us, the whisper said, as if it had crawled into my mind. I fell backward, hitting the floor. My flashlight flickered, illuminating the office in brief pulses of pale white. And then, darkness. Absolute. When I came to, the office was empty. The monitors were black. I thought I had blacked out. Thought it was over. But then, I noticed something on the monitor stand. A single frame still flickering, showing room 14, and in the frame, smiling back at me, Was my reflection alive watching and I knew, without doubt, that wherever I went, it would follow. The security cameras were no longer tools, they were hunters, and I was prey. I never worked a night shift again. I never looked at a monitor the same way, and sometimes, when I pass by CCTV screens in other buildings, I catch a glimpse of a face that looks exactly like mine, smiling, waiting, watching.